going on, everybody? This is Blake Early here, your favorite children's book author. And I wanted to rant today about some of my problems with the Marvel Universe. It's been done before. We've heard it all, but whatever. We just talking. So the first one I want to get to is, if you've been watching Marvel long enough, then you've brought this up. Quicksilver's death in Age of Ultron. Houseway. I don't get it. Because in the comics, whether we want to go comics or the movie or whatever, in the comics, his speed approaches, and I'm looking at the like the page. In the comics, his speed exceeds the speed of light, making him theoretically impossible to hit. So even if we said, well, he's just super fast, it's like a Gatling gun still wouldn't be able to hit him, even if he was, saving a person. I just don't get it. Now I know that there is, there's a business side of it, meaning that Marvel, like obviously, like Marvel will kill a character or delete a character off, for story reasons. But again, these are just some things, because I think some of the things are very small, and then some of them I'm like, it was a bigger thing to me, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Another kind of small one, Vision's defeat. It's because I felt like Vision had the best of it all, meaning Vision he was made from vibranium. He was the most advanced AI because he came from Jarvis, and then he was powered by the Mind Stone. What can you do to this thing? Like, you know what I mean? He shouldn't even be able to feel, because the Mind Stone, if I remember correctly, the Mind Stone was like you could essentially control minds and stuff. Let me look it up. I don't want to. The Mind Stone. Governs the mind associated with mental abilities and consciousness. Mind controlled thought implantation. That didn't work on Thanos because he's a Titan. I just don't understand, because it's kind of like, if Thanos was not powerful enough to do what he did, he needed all of the Infinity Stones, then this thing that is powered by an Infinity, and I get it's like multiple Infinity Stones versus one, but there was a point where he didn't have all those Infinity Stones, and he beat up the Hulk. He pieced Hulk up. Do y'all remember what he did to Hulk in the ship? I was sitting in the movie theater like, I wanted to buy some pearls so I could grab him. Like, I was like, what is he doing? Bro, he folded Hulk. I never saw Hulk go, ugh. Like, I think he held his oblique. Like, it was bad. And it was, and then when Thanos did it, it was like almost like a warm-up. Like, it wasn't a serious fight for him. And I get that it's obviously to show how much of a tough, how top level of a villain Thanos is. I do understand that part. But I also, and maybe it's just because we had the movies, because, if you read the comics, you probably didn't read all of them. Most of us didn't read all of them. Most of us, like myself, we read some of them. We watched some of the 90s shows. And then when these were made into live action movies, we thought that we were going to get that, right? A lot of us thought that that's what we were going to get, but it didn't really happen like that. To me, Vision should have been able to, as soon as Thanos and those guys became a thing, he should have been able to teach them, like literally, like, hey, you are a bunny. You're going to spend the rest of your life hopping around, chewing on carrots. They didn't have any stones. Not yet. Or no, wait, didn't they have, I think he had like one or something. But still, and I might not be accurate on everything. I will try to be as accurate as possible. But no, man, I just didn't think, to me, it was a waste. It was a waste of all of this stuff, like all of the best. We had never really seen Vibranium just, he got torn apart, like, Vision, now that I'm really thinking about it, Vision took L's when it was completely unnecessary, now that I'm thinking about it. Because, and here's why I say that. Do you remember in Civil War, when it was Falcon, and then Rhodey had chased him, and Tony had told him, he was like, he's gained and turned him into a glider or whatever. Viz shot a laser with the intention, obviously, of hitting Falcon. Now, here's the problem with that. We saw what Vision's lasers do when he did his laser on the cars, right? Right before, earlier in that same altercation. So if it goes through cars, what it does to human flesh, we have common sense. So essentially, he told him to delete Falcon, right? Unless he was telling him to just get his wings, then was you gonna let him drop to the floor? And I know you might say, well, no, he would have, because him and Rhodey would have grabbed him. Well, if that was it, then he would have to be perfectly accurate, right? Because he is in the Marvel Universe, he is the most advanced AI, the most advanced. Your aiming should be perfect. If you're the most, a human error shouldn't exist with you. You're not human. And for him to say, well, I got distracted. And then the thing that Falcon did to dodge it, like all he really did was fold up and roll. He didn't hit the boosters and like shake to the left or get out. Like he essentially kind of went a little bit forward, a little bit back. Like it just, to me, it wasn't enough for him to Vision blows out, what's it, Rhodey's, like the whatever was powering his suit. Rhodey starts dropping to the floor. It's going bad, and he hits. And first of which, the fact that Rhodey survived that. This is, again, the guy with super speed can get hit with a Gatling gun, which makes no sense. But the one who this completely, because Rhodey's completely human. Do you see how high up he dropped from? In a metal suit? You can't survive that. And it was just kind of like, oh, well, all that happened was his spine. He ain't gonna be able to walk great. Okay. Plot armor. The next one should be obvious to some of you. If I'm bringing up Viz, I gotta bring up Wanda. And it's very obvious why. Wanda should have been a way heavier hitter than she was. Like a lot of people, it was very clear to me that what Marvel was doing was they were telling us what we were going to get. When it came into the whole, like, women power, women this, we started getting flooded with all these Marvel female characters. And it's not that I'm against that, but I want to speak clearly because I think a lot of people have misconstrued the fans' distaste or uninterest for sexism, and that's not what it is. A lot of us watched or read, and like I said earlier, a lot of us watched or we read or whatever, and so we kind of, it's like the coolest thing in the world to be able to possibly see these characters in live action. So we, that's, what is that? What am I saying? It's like high expectation, like meaning this. The reason why a lot of us, and you know what I mean when I say this, if you're a Marvel fan, the reason why a lot of us cried or was emotional when Tony Stark had, man, this kid is really not good at backing in. I'm sorry, guys. He is backed into the same spot the same way 6 times, and I'm not exaggerating it. Okay, that is number 7. Let's see if he'll leave it alone. Okay. Okay. He took off his seat, but I think he's good. Um, but yeah, if you got emotional or was really like, sad when Tony Stark passed away in the movies, it's not because we're men, or it's not because you love Tony Stark, it's because we had so many movies of Tony Stark to build an emotional connection with the character, right? Like if you watch Breaking Bad like I did, most folks loved Breaking Bad, right? Breaking Bad, there's a reason why, spoiler alert, when Walter White, when they rolled his credits at the end, there was a reason why it was like, because we had 6 seasons of his character's humanity and his journey and the things that he went through and the things that made him him, and his, like, all of that stuff, right? We didn't have that for Captain Marvel. We had one horrible movie. The movie sucked. It was bad. It was lazy. Yeah, it was a very lazy movie. And they knew it was lazy. The fans knew it was lazy, and I guess I'm one of them fans that kind of go, when they know that the fans don't want it and they're shoving it in our face, it's time to distance yourself from that business. Similar like to how a lot of us did with Destiny, right? Like, not to change subject, but I just want to say this. Like, if you play Destiny 2, you understand what I'm saying. I was one of the people to play Destiny 2, and here's the thing. Here's where I was able to do it. I came late, so there was so much content I had to absorb, and there was a point in time where I played Destiny like I had a full-time job. This was obviously during the pandemic time, but I genuinely, I had the headset, and my wife would tell you, I would be in my bedroom just like, all right, y'all, we doing, all right, we going to the Derelict Leviathan. We gonna farm some good weapons, and Destiny was great for a time, and then I started to understand why people who had played longer were saying the same thing. They were like, they won't give us new content, and I'm like, what they mean by that? And he's like, and they would say they're giving us what they think we should have instead of what the customers actually want. I'm like, okay. And I think it was like 2 seasons, and I was like, okay, I get it. They just kept giving, like, bad storylines. They would give us these short storylines. You pay $100 for a season pass to get all of this stuff, to be able to access the dungeon and play with your friends and all of this stuff. And it's like you're paying a premium price, really, for premium graphics. Because I don't want to make it seem like Destiny's a horrible game. It isn't. It was a great game. It's a very, very fun game. But yeah, the way that they did us, just not giving us any of the new content we wanted, better characters, more storyline, more stuff to actually do, instead of just giving us a new dungeon, a preview of a villain, and then a couple weapons that suck. Sometimes, y'all, now I'll be fair, sometimes they would give us a good one. But back to Marvel. Wanda, for Wanda to be as powerful as she was, because remember, if you watch WandaVision, Wanda was so powerful that she like hallucinated enough to create a whole reality where Vision was there. Her children were there, even though they weren't really there, but they were. And if you watched it, you'll get what I'm saying. You couldn't do none of this to Thanos and his people. Like, you should have washed any of them. You should have just tore them apart, right? Like, that's kind of your thing. Controlling things, controlling matter. Again, let me try to be accurate. Let's see what Wanda's powers are exactly. Let's see if she should, because I do think that she should have been able to wash, if not Thanos, all of his people. All of his people. Okay, object manipulation, lift, move, control objects, force fields, energy blast, mind control, emotion manipulation, limited reality warping, resurrection, reality alteration, probability manipulation, flight, power absorption. Now, if you're one of those people who's going to say, well, she didn't have those powers yet, she didn't know. When else do you pull your powers out of your behind? And I'm trying not to curse in this video, but ma'am, Miss Wanda, goodness. When do you step up to the plate, Miss Wanda? We needed you. She didn't even do that to the, like, remember when they went to Wakanda and they had the war, never forget this. You saw her